November 26, 1944. Somewhere over Brandenburg, Germany. 14,000 feet. Hauptmann Ernst Baumer banks his Focke-Wulf FW-190 hard left, the G-forces pressing him into his seat. Through the gun sight, he tracks a Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress as it lumbers through the thin air. His thumb hovers over the firing button. He's done this 127 times before. This will be 128. The 20mm cannons erupt. Tracers arc across the gray November sky. The B-17's No. 3 engine explodes in a bloom of orange fire. The bomber's wing folds upward, and the massive aircraft begins its death spiral toward the German countryside below. Baumer doesn't watch it fall. He's already pulling up, scanning for the next target. The sky above Brandenburg is a chaos of contrails, tracer fire, and burning aircraft. This is what the Luftwaffe calls a Großkampftag, a big combat day. Over 1,200 American heavy bombers are striking targets across central Germany, and every available German fighter has been scrambled to stop them. For Hauptmann Ernst Baumer, this should be his finest hour. He is 28 years old. He has survived 3 years of combat. He is not a fanatic. He is not a Nazi party member. He is a professional fighter pilot who joined the Luftwaffe in 1938 because he loved flying, not because he loved politics. By November 1944, he has 127 confirmed kills. This makes him an expert, an ace many times over, a survivor in a service where the average life expectancy of a new pilot is now measured in weeks. But on this morning, as Baumer pulls into a climbing turn and spots another formation of B-17s ahead, he doesn't know he's about to have the best 90 minutes of his combat career. And he doesn't know that by sunset, he'll understand why none of it matters. The radio crackles in his headset. Achtung! Heavies at 11 o'clock high, estimate 40-plus bombers. Baumer keys his mic. I see them, moving to intercept. His wingman, a 19-year-old named Lieutenant Klaus Richter with exactly 11 hours of combat time, struggles to keep formation. Baumer doesn't blame him. There is no longer time to properly train replacement pilots. The boy has maybe 160 hours total flight time. In 1940, Baumer had 450 hours before he saw combat. But 1940 was a different war. Baumer advances his throttle. The BMW radial engine roars. His FW-190 accelerates toward the bomber formation. The Americans fly in their signature combat boxes, stacked formations designed to create overlapping fields of defensive fire. Hundreds of .50 caliber machine guns pointed in every direction. Approaching them is like flying into a storm of lead. He's done it 127 times. He'll do it again. The distance closes, 2,000 meters, 1,500 meters. He can see the individual bombers now, the sun glinting off their aluminum skins. The Americans call them flying fortresses, and the name is accurate. Each B-17 bristles with 10 .50 caliber machine guns. Each bomber box contains 18 to 27 aircraft. The math is simple and brutal. Attacking a single combat box means flying into the concentrated fire of 180 to 270 heavy machine guns. 1,000 meters. The first tracers reach out toward him. Baumer jinks right, then left. The FW-190 is a sturdy aircraft, heavily armored, but a direct hit from a .50 caliber round will still tear through aluminum and flesh. He's seen it happen. He's seen friends disintegrate. 800 meters. His gun sight centers on a B-17 at the edge of the formation. The bomber grows larger in his windscreen. He can see the ball turret rotating, trying to track him. He can see the waist gunners moving behind their windows. 600 meters. Fire. His four 20mm cannons and two 13mm machine guns open up simultaneously. The FW-190 shudders from the recoil. He can see his rounds walking up the B-17's fuselage. Metal tears, glass shatters. The bomber's No. 2 engine trails black smoke, but it stays in formation. Baumer pulls up hard, vectoring away from the defensive fire. His aircraft rattles as several .50 caliber rounds punch through his wing. Nothing critical. He's lucky. He comes around for another pass. This time he attacks from below, the B-17's blind spot. His guns find the bomber's belly. The bombardier's position explodes. The nose section shatters. This time, the B-17 drops out of formation, trailing fire. Kill number 128. The engagement timer in his head says 7 minutes have elapsed. Baumer doesn't celebrate. There's no time. The sky is full of targets. He pulls into a climbing spiral, scanning for the next formation. His wingman Richter is gone, separated in the chaos. Baumer hopes the boy is still alive, but doesn't dwell on it. This is the reality now. You survive or you don't. He spots another formation, this time B-24 Liberators. Different aircraft, same problem. More boxes, more guns, more targets that refuse to die quickly. Over the next 83 minutes, Hauptmann Ernst Baumer becomes a perfect instrument of aerial warfare. Kill number 129, B-17, both engines on the right wing destroyed, 11:47 hours. Kill number 130, B-24, tail section shot away, 11:53 hours. Kill number 131, B-17, direct hit on cockpit, 12:01 hours. He lands twice to rearm and refuel. Both times the ground crews work with desperate speed. Ammunition belts slam into wing magazines. Fuel trucks pump frantically. Baumer drinks water, doesn't eat. He's back in the air in under 12 minutes each time. The Americans keep coming. Kill number 135, B-17, wingfold, 12:34 hours. Kill number 140, B-24, mid-air explosion, 12:58 hours. Kill number 145, B-17, control surfaces destroyed, 1:11 hours. His aircraft takes damage, holes in the wings, hydraulic leak, oil pressure warning light flickering. He ignores it. There are still bombers overhead, still targets, still a war to fight. By 1:20 p.m., Hauptmann Ernst Baumer has fired every round of ammunition his aircraft can carry. His guns are empty. His fuel gauge shows minimum reserves. He has no choice but to return to base. As he turns for home, he does a mental count. 19. 19 confirmed kills in 90 minutes of combat. It is the best sortie of his career. Perhaps the best sortie any Luftwaffe pilot has flown in months. The kind of mission that would have earned him a Knight's Cross in 1940, a medal ceremony with champagne and newsreel cameras. He feels no elation, only exhaustion. His FW-190 limps back to Parchim Airfield, trailing smoke from the damaged engine. He brings the aircraft in on approach, wheels down, and touches down harder than he'd like. The right landing gear strut is damaged. The aircraft settles at an angle, but it's down. He's alive. Ground crews rush to the aircraft. Baumer slides back his canopy and pulls off his leather helmet. His hair is soaked with sweat despite the freezing air at altitude. His hands shake slightly, adrenaline crash. A staff car is waiting at the edge of the runway. This is unusual. Baumer frowns. He climbs down from the wing, his legs unsteady. A Luftwaffe intelligence officer approaches, a major he doesn't recognize. The man carries a leather briefcase and has the expression of someone who doesn't fly but spends his days with maps and reports. Hauptmann Baumer? Yes, Herr Major. Congratulations on your successes today. I'm told you achieved 19 confirmed victories. Baumer nods. Yes, Herr Major.
Baumer stares at the photographs spread across the table. His mind, still foggy from combat exhaustion, struggles to accept what the major is telling him. It violates everything he understands about warfare. This cannot be accurate, he says quietly. No nation can produce aircraft at that rate. The major lights a cigarette, offers one to Baumer. The pilot accepts. His hands are steadier now, but the tremor hasn't completely disappeared. That's what the High Command said in 1942. It's what Reichsmarshal Goering continues to say. The intelligence is dismissed as American propaganda, impossible exaggeration. The major exhales smoke. Except our reconnaissance aircraft keep photographing the same airfields, and the numbers keep increasing. He pulls out another document, a typed intelligence summary with Reich classification stamps. Let me give you the mathematics that the High Command refuses to believe. In 1943, the Americans produced 29,355 military aircraft of all types. This is confirmed by multiple intelligence sources. In 1944, their production increased to approximately 40,000 aircraft. Baumer does the mental arithmetic. That's over 100 aircraft per day, 109 per day on average. But those numbers include trainers, transports, fighters. For heavy bombers specifically, the Americans produced 6,043 four-engine bombers in 1943. In 1944, they will produce approximately 8,200. The major taps ash into a metal tray. Hauptmann, in the time we've been sitting in this room, approximately 20 minutes, American factories have produced roughly 1 1/2 heavy bombers. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, 6 new B-17s or B-24s will exist that didn't exist when you went to sleep. Baumer thinks of his morning, the briefing, the scramble, the 3 combat sorties, 19 kills. He thinks of the ammunition expended, the fuel burned, the risk taken, the exhaustion. All of it mathematically meaningless. How is this possible? His voice is barely a whisper. The major stubs out his cigarette and reaches for another document. This one has photographs attached. Not reconnaissance photos. These are intelligence photos, grainy images taken by agents or obtained from neutral sources. This is the Ford Willow Run plant in Michigan, a single building. It's over 1 mile long. At peak production, it completes 1 B-24 Liberator every 63 minutes, 1 aircraft from raw materials to flight ready every hour. He shows another photo. This is the Boeing plant in Seattle. They've streamlined B-17 production to the point where major assemblies are built in different facilities and brought together for final assembly. They're producing 16 aircraft per day from this complex alone. Baumer looks at the photos. He sees assembly lines, vast factory floors, thousands of workers. It looks less like aircraft production and more like, he struggles for the comparison, more like a printing press churning out newspapers. The Americans treat bombers like consumable ammunition, the major continues. They don't build them to last for years. They build them to last for 25 to 30 combat missions, roughly 200 operational hours. Then they expect the aircraft to be shot down or worn out, so they simply build more. And we cannot match this production? The major's laugh is bitter. Hauptmann, the entire German aircraft industry produced approximately 2,200 four-engine bombers in total during 1944. The Americans produced that many in 3 months. Our total combat aircraft production for 1944 will be roughly 25,000 aircraft of all types. The Americans will exceed 40,000. He pulls out a comparison chart, neat columns of numbers. In September 1944, German factories produced 2,878 aircraft total, all types, fighters, bombers, transports, trainers, reconnaissance, everything. In the same month, the Americans produced 7,952 aircraft. The ratio is nearly 3-to-1 against us, and that's just the Americans. It doesn't include British production or Soviet production. Baumer stares at the numbers. He thinks of his comrades, the pilots he knew in 1940, 1941, 1942. Most are dead. The replacements are children with 160 hours of flight time. And now he understands why. Germany isn't losing pilots faster than it can train them. Germany is losing the industrial capacity to fight an industrial war. What's something else you need to understand? The major says. His voice is quieter now, almost gentle. The replacement rate isn't just about numbers. It's about what those numbers mean for operational planning. He spreads out a tactical map of Western Europe. Red pins mark Luftwaffe airfields. Blue pins mark estimated American and British bomber bases. Every bomber you shot down today will be replaced within 48 hours. Not weeks, not months, 2 days. The crew that bailed out will be replaced by fresh crews who just finished training in America. New pilots arrive in England every day, trained, ready, eager. The major traces a line across the map. But every FW-190 we lose takes 2 weeks minimum to replace, assuming the factory wasn't bombed, assuming the rail transport gets through, assuming we have the raw materials. Every pilot we lose takes 6 months to train, if we had 6 months, which we don't, so now we're sending boys up with 160 hours who die on their 3rd mission. He looks directly at Baumer. You achieved 19 kills today. How many sorties did that require? 3. And how much ammunition? Baumer calculates. Full combat load 3 times, approximately 1,400 rounds of 20mm cannon ammunition, perhaps 2,800 rounds of 13mm machine gun ammunition. And the Americans replaced those 19 bombers before sunset, using assembly lines that never stop, never sleep, never run out of materials. They replaced the crews using training schools that graduate new pilots every week. You exhausted yourself, exhausted your aircraft, expended irreplaceable ammunition, took irreplaceable risks, and you're back where you started this morning. Except you're more tired, your aircraft needs repair, and tomorrow there will be more bombers than there were today. The silence in the room is absolute. Baumer thinks back to 1940, the victory over France, the Channel Coast. The Luftwaffe was invincible then, or it seemed to be. They had 2,600 operational aircraft for the Battle of Britain. It seemed like an unstoppable force. Now he understands. It wasn't unstoppable. It was just that Britain in 1940 didn't have the industrial base to destroy it. Now Germany faces an enemy that produces more aircraft than the Luftwaffe possessed at its peak strength, and produces them every 3 weeks. Why are you telling me this? Baumer asks. Why not the High Command? Why not Reichsmarschall Göring? The major's expression is unreadable. The High Command has these reports, Hauptmann. They've had them for 2 years. Göring refuses to believe them. He insists American production figures are propaganda. He claims Americans cannot build aircraft with their mongrel workforce and Jewish-controlled factories. The major gathers the photographs and documents back into his briefcase. I'm telling you because you're a professional, because you flew 3 combat missions today and achieved something remarkable, and you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know that your courage and skill matter, but they don't change the mathematics. You can shoot down every bomber in the sky, and tomorrow there will be more bombers. The meeting is over. Baumer walks back across the airfield to the pilot's quarters. The sun is setting. The November air is cold and sharp. Above him he can hear the distant rumble of engines. More bombers. Always more bombers. In his quarters, he sits on his bunk and removes his flight boots. His logbook sits on the small wooden table. He opens it and records the day's missions, the times, the aircraft types, the claims. Mission 1, 5 confirmed kills, B-17s. Mission 2, 7 confirmed kills, B-24s and B-17s. Mission 3, 7 confirmed kills, B-17s. Total, 19 confirmed kills, 146 career total.
November 27, 1944. Dawn. Baumer wakes to the sound of air raid sirens. He's on his feet before he's fully conscious, grabbing his flight jacket and boots. This is reflex now. The sirens mean bombers overhead. American bombers that should have been deterred by yesterday's losses. But, as the major explained, yesterday's losses don't exist anymore. Outside, the sky is gray with pre-dawn light. Anti-aircraft guns hammer away at targets invisible above the clouds. Baumer can hear the deep rumble of heavy bombers, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They're not hitting the airfield. They're passing over, heading deeper into Germany. He checks the operations board. Today's first mission briefing is at 0700 hours. He has 30 minutes. In the mess hall, he finds hot ersatz coffee and stale bread. A dozen pilots sit at the wooden tables, most of them silent, hollow-eyed from exhaustion. He recognizes only 3 from yesterday morning. The others are replacements or survivors from other units, consolidated as losses mount. Lieutenant Richter, his wingman from yesterday, is not among them. Baumer asks a ground crew sergeant. The sergeant shakes his head. Richter's aircraft was seen going down over Magdeburg, chased by American escort fighters. No parachute observed. 11 hours of combat time. That was the boys' war. The briefing at 0700 hours is short and brutal. Intelligence reports another massive American formation assembling over England. Estimated strength, 1,100 to 1,300 heavy bombers with escort. Target, probable rail yards and industrial centers across central Germany. The Luftwaffe will scramble every available fighter, again. Baumer is assigned a new wingman, another teenager, 19 years old, 140 hours total flight time, 0 combat missions. The boy's hands shake as he holds his mission briefing papers. Baumer wants to tell him something reassuring, some wisdom that will keep him alive past his first engagement. He has nothing to say. The boy will live or die based on luck and the Americans' ammunition supply. At 0815 hours, Baumer is airborne again. His FW-190 is patched but not fully repaired. The hydraulic system still leaks. The oil pressure is marginal. The ground crews did what they could with what they had. It's enough to fly. It has to be. The interception happens at 0903 hours, 16,000 feet over Thuringia. Baumer spots the bomber formation first, a massive aerial armada stretching across the horizon. He counts boxes, 5 groups, each group at least 36 aircraft. He stops counting at 180 visible bombers. There are more behind them. His new wingman's voice cracks over the radio.
Mein Gott, there are so many. Stay on my wing, Baumer orders. Follow my movements exactly. Do not break formation. They dive into the attack. Baumer's first pass is textbook perfect. He comes in from above and behind, angles for the bomber's blind spot, fires a 2-second burst. His 20mm rounds walk up the B-17's spine. The dorsal turret explodes. The bomber shudders but stays in formation. He pulls up, rolls away from defensive fire. His wingman is still with him. Good. Second pass. This time he targets the same bomber. The pilot is trying to drop back from the formation, damaged, vulnerable. Baumer's rounds hammer into the cockpit area. The P-17's nose drops. It begins a flat spin. No parachutes. Kill 147. The combat becomes a repetitive nightmare. Attack, evade, reposition, attack again. Baumer's training and experience make each maneuver automatic. His hands and feet move the control surfaces without conscious thought. His eyes track targets, calculate deflection angles, estimate closure rates. He shoots down 3 more bombers over the next 40 minutes. Kills 148, 149, 150. And with each kill, he thinks of the photographs, the assembly lines, the replacement rate. These 4 bombers he's just destroyed will be replaced by sunset. The Americans will build 8 new bombers today, lose 4, and still be ahead by 4. The mathematics are inescapable. His ammunition warning light illuminates. He's down to his last 200 rounds of 20mm. His wingman is gone, lost somewhere in the chaos. He doesn't know if the boy is dead or just separated. The statistical probability suggests dead. He makes one final attack run, expends his remaining ammunition into a B-24's engines. The bomber catches fire, but doesn't go down immediately. Possibly a kill, possibly just damaged. He'll never know for certain. He turns for home. On the flight back to Parchim, Baumer passes over the German countryside. Below him, he can see the results of yesterday's bombing. Rail yards torn apart, factories burning, entire city blocks reduced to rubble. And today, another wave of bombers is adding to the destruction. His radio crackles. A ground controller's voice, strained and urgent. All fighters, new formation spotted approaching from the northwest. Estimate 400+ heavies with escort. Repeating, 400+. Baumer looks at his fuel gauge. Minimum reserves. His ammunition counters read 0. He cannot engage even if he wanted to. He maintains course for Parchim and lands 20 minutes later. As he taxis to his revetment, he can see ground crews already working on other aircraft, rushing to rearm and refuel fighters for the next sortie. The pace is frantic. The ground crews are exhausted, working 16-hour shifts. In the operations room, the tally board tells the story of the morning's combat. 17 Luftwaffe fighters lost, 23 bombers claimed as destroyed, dozens more listed as probable or damaged. The ratio is getting worse. Baumer files his combat report. 4 confirmed kills, 1 probable. His career total is now 150 confirmed, assuming the record keepers are still maintaining accurate counts. He waits to see if he'll fly again today. The answer comes at 1400 hours. All pilots are grounded. Not because the threat has passed, because there are no serviceable aircraft remaining. Every fighter has either been destroyed, damaged, or is undergoing critical maintenance. The bombers continue to pass overhead, unopposed. That evening, Baumer receives a summons to the base commander's office. Oberst Hartmann, the airfield commander, is 52 years old and looks 70. He fought in the Great War, served through the interwar years, and has watched the Luftwaffe's slow destruction over the past 2 years. Sit down, Hauptmann. Baumer sits. The office is Spartan. A desk, 2 chairs, a filing cabinet, a map of Germany on the wall, covered in red circles marking destroyed industrial targets. I understand you met with Major Kessler from intelligence yesterday. Yes, sir. He showed you the production figures, the reconnaissance photographs. Yes, sir. Oberst Hartmann opens a desk drawer and pulls out a bottle of schnapps and 2 glasses. He pours without asking. Both men drink in silence. Hauptmann Baumer, you're one of my best pilots. 150 confirmed kills. You've survived 3 years when most survive 3 months. I need you to keep flying. I will, sir. But I also need you to understand something. The Oberst refills both glasses. We're not fighting to win anymore. We're fighting to make the cost high enough that the Allies will negotiate. We're fighting for time, for terms, for something other than unconditional surrender. He drinks again. Your 19 kills on November 26th were exceptional, but they were also irrelevant to the strategic situation. The Americans will have 1,400 operational bombers over Germany next week, and 1,500 the week after that. You could shoot down 50 aircraft tomorrow, and it would change nothing. Baumer says what he's been thinking since yesterday. Then why do we continue? Because we're soldiers, Hauptmann. Because men are depending on us. Because surrender means the end of everything. And while we fight, there's still a Germany to defend. The Oberst's voice is quiet. And because the alternative is to admit that the war was lost before it started, that every man